Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing another Was It Worth It review, just like my other video I did on my other car. The link to that will be below this video. Today I'm going to be doing my 2003 Hummer H2 to show if it's worth buying one of these vehicles with the age of it. I'm just going to be showing issues, maintenance, if the vehicle's worth buying or not. So let's get right into it. So we're going to start off with some specs of the vehicle. The Hummer H2 has a 6.0 liter V8 Vortec engine that puts out about 316 horsepower. And this vehicle is pretty sluggish because of how big the vehicle is. It's a pretty heavy vehicle too, so it doesn't really get up and go. It's kind of like a brick. You're not going to be racing anybody in this thing. You just buy it, they kind of cruise around, go slow, enjoy the time, and that's about it. So it's not a race car. This vehicle takes about 15 seconds to probably what 17 seconds for 0 to 60, so not going to be winning any races there. These vehicles have a 4-speed automatic transmission. For as big as they are, they do shift pretty decently, but like I said, it's not a race car. And the Hummer H2 is a gas guzzler. It does have a 32-gallon fuel tank, and with the way I drive, I get about 11 miles to the gallon in this thing, which at about $3.15 a gallon costs you a lot of money. So it's definitely not a vehicle that I will ever plan on taking any road trips in. And this vehicle, to help things off, is also 6,400 pounds. So you park this thing in some grass or anything, it's gonna sink. It's just a heavy vehicle. But it has a payload capacity of about 2,000 pounds and a towing capacity on it 7,000 pounds from that little hitch down there that barely looks like it's ever been used on my truck. So that's pretty much all for the statistic stuff, but you don't care about that if you're watching a video on a truck like this. So let's get into my ownership experience and what I think of it. So I've owned this vehicle for about 7 months now. Definitely did not look anywhere near what it does now when I first bought it. This was an adventure package vehicle, so it did have the added light bar right here, or I should just say round off-road lights, and it had a round off-road light right here too. Those are in the trunk. I'll be throwing them back on. We got the bars repainted on this thing. It's been buffed, dent removal, all that stuff that you do on an older vehicle. So I plan on doing more stuff to this too. It had a leaky windshield when I bought the thing, and I was originally quoted $1,000 for the windshield, which is insane. And I ended up finding somebody else that could do it for, it was about $350 installed. Can't beat that. So it was leaking all up here when they took the cowl off on this thing. This part right here, all this big piece from that side to this side, it all snaps off. It's just plastic. So even though it looks mean and rugged, it's plastic. They grabbed the windshield and were able to just pull it away because of the sealer had gone on it. This vehicle also had the leaky light issue on the roof, so we replaced the lights, and now it's got another leak. It's got a leak going on here in the airbox somewhere that's inside, and wash my carpet here on the passenger side every now and then. So right down here, luckily it's dry right now, but it's somewhere in this area. So definitely, if I would have thought about that, I would have felt that area when I bought the truck, but who would have thought about that? Obviously not me. I'm not smart enough to think of that. Other than those issues, and the rear main seal, I had to replace that because they were doing an inspection on it before I bought it, and they broke a bolt down there. And not to mention tire rod ends, because how heavy this thing is. Needed new tire rod ends. It needed a new sway bar too. That's brand new right there. And what else? I had to replace some of the intercooler lines in here. They did not cut them evenly when they repaired it at some point, so they inevitably leaked and needed repaired. But for the time being, this is the first time while I've owned this thing and there's not a puddle down there. So can't beat that, right? Well, I'm sure everybody's begging to know what an idiot would pay for something like this, and you know, I kind of thought that too. Thought it was a pretty good deal when I bought it, especially for the mileage. This truck only has 118,000 miles on it now. I bought it with 117,000, and like I said, I barely drove it because of all the issues. And what now, I paid, it was about $12,500 for the vehicle, but I'm a genius and I've decided to finance this thing because I didn't have 12 grand laying around. So there we go on that. And the additional cost to repair the stuff mentioned is come out to be around 7 grand so far. Yeah, it's pretty costly. It's also had a fuel injector sensor replaced, and the check engine light's still on for that. Not to mention I had to put a new gas tank in this thing, which that was not cheap. We found out it was leaking gasoline back here right after I bought it, and we filled the gas tank and there was gasoline dripping right here. So found that out after driving it around the city all day. Isn't that nice? So got that done. Cheapest thing I've replaced is this fuel cap because it was completely destroyed on this thing, which was ridiculous. I also bought this new tire cover to freshen the look up. It had a faded black one, so this is a boomerang cover, but that's most of it right there. I had to put tires on it, you know. We're not going to count that as it, but yeah, add that to the price of this thing. We're going on 20 grand now at this point, so I guess we're just gonna keep filming whatever happens with this thing. So is it worth buying a 22-year-old vehicle for what you think's a pretty good price without realizing all the issues it has? Maybe if you wanted to deal with all this like I somehow for some reason decided I wanted to put myself through. Can't talk. So I decided I hated myself enough to put myself through it, but I mean, at least it looks good, right? That's all that matters. It's shiny, so got some nice shiny chrome you can polish while it's broke down in the yard, and some nice paint you can polish too while it's broke down. Gives you plenty of time to make it all shiny, right? Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. So I might as well show the inside of this thing off. These GM interiors don't really wear the best no matter what, even when these things were newer. Just mind all the crap in here. But I mean, these seats on this thing for 118,000 miles, I mean, they're not too bad, but they're they're not that great looking. The camera's making them look better, and that just despawned, I guess. Oh well, who needs it? So the shifters, you know, it's in pretty good shape. The steering wheel's in good shape. This thing does like to get stuck every once in a while when I try to put it in drive. For some reason it doesn't always like to engage, but I mean, it's a 22-year-old vehicle. Do you really expect it to be perfect? Maybe a little more perfect than this, but oh well. So here's the interior. These plastic panels on it kind of tend to crack over time, which some of them have, but they've held up pretty good for the most part on this thing. So I can't really complain. I've wanted one of these for quite a while for some reason, and this truck was a Florida car, and considering I live up north, I figured it was a good deal because that means there's not big rust spots all through here, mainly around here. This is the main area Hummers like to rust out in, and especially down here where these side steps link up to the bottom of the truck. But it's all been fully undercoated. But look at that nice southern truck underneath, so can't beat that. Here's the back seat. It's a little worse for wear. I plan on going through it and redoing this stuff back here. Here's the rear center console. It's full of some nice scents to keep it smelling nice. This vehicle I also use to haul stuff. I use it for shows since it's got a lot of room in it. The seats in this truck fold completely flat. I'll show you. Look at that. So it's literally like a big cube, like box in here. So it's perfect for fitting stuff in here. You have a lot of room when you fold all these seats down in this truck. But let's get past the obvious and get back to the front. Oh, and it's also got Bose speakers in it. And the speakers, for being as old as they are, they sound pretty good. They pop every once in a while, but other than that, you know, they're pretty nice. So here's the passenger side. It's not perfect looking. The glove box is interesting. Yeah, it's kind of loose. You can just pull it down as far as you want because it's pretty worn out. But I've got all new stuff for it eventually. New center screen. Put all that stuff on eventually here. See, the paint on these silver parts ain't worn the best, especially right there too. Here's the center console. It's pretty big in this thing. So this is like the center storage area. It's nice. You can fit a lot of junk in it that you don't need. And here's your cup holders. So they'll fit any big gulp, big drink in them. They fit a lot of big stuff. So can't beat that, right? Can't complain about not having room for drinks in this thing. So it's got gigantic visors in it. You pop them and look at that extension. Isn't that crazy? Oh my god, that noise is absolutely hideous. Y'all stop doing that. That sounds like nails on a chalkboard. There we go. Put this guy back in there. Here's the overhead stuff. For some reason mine doesn't like to turn on. But who really needs that stuff anyway, right? So you got these nice armrests, thick and luxurious, am I right? Look at those. You don't find these in vehicles anymore at all. So definitely like those. There's another thing, Bose speaker, which they sound pretty good. Here's some of what I was talking about with the cracking plastic due to age. I did think about replacing the door panels on this vehicle originally, but I don't want to spend $2,000 to $3,000 on door panels. That's just insane. So, oh, and here's a casualty of those lights in the windshield leaking. My headliner. Oh well. So let's get over to the driver's side of this thing. Might as well pop the hood here. These gigantic latches that make you feel like a big boy when you open them up. Look at that. Should watch the paint a little, but oh well. Let's see. Open the one up on this side too. There we go. Shut this. We don't need this open anymore. Pull this a couple times because they do like to stick on these older GMs. Let's see. Get it opened up here. Oh man. It's fiberglass. It's not that heavy. Look at that nice 6.0 Vortec bulletproof engine right here. Most bulletproof thing on this mutt. So can't beat that. This one's in pretty good shape. This engine runs really quiet. It's the best thing on this vehicle, realistically, the engine and the transmission. Everything else was just kind of neglected and shot. So isn't that lovely? That's a nice view for all those GMT 800 enthusiasts right there. Yeah, beautiful. So let's get to showing some different stuff on this car. So went over some of the other features on the vehicle. We'll go over how it drives and how smooth it is and a couple other things here. It's getting kind of busy over here, so let's try and get wrapped up here shortly. So let's see. Gone over the exterior, gone over the interior. Haven't gone over the trunk. The trunk's pretty big. We went over folding the seats down, but not the whole trunk in this thing. So let's see. Here's the back of it. So isn't that nice? It looks like a Minecraft car right there. Open the trunk up. These handles do tend to break, so I'm pretty careful with it on this. And so do these big plastic pieces. It's originally black under here. I think mine broke at some point in time, so they like tapped it and tried to put this chrome one over it, but oh well. I ain't gonna fix it. Here's the trunk. So if you mind my crap back here, it's a pretty roomy trunk. Originally this, like I said, would have been an adventure, so you would have had the tire deflator. It's not called the tire deflator, it's called a, what is that called? I don't know, inflator. It's called something. So you could have inflated bike tires back here, whatever you wanted. This vehicle would have originally had air ride, but it's been converted to coilovers, so it doesn't have that anymore. And it used to have a gigantic bar right here that was like this tall and took up this much of your trunk, and that's where the spare tire would have been mounted on this thing originally. So I'll show you on my Model 1 here in a second. And this is where the spare seat would have been. Yeah, so you would have had about a couple inches of room back here, which is stupid considering the size of this vehicle. This is what it would have looked like originally. Yeah, I don't know. I like it being empty a lot better, so can't beat that. Empty's always better. So let's get this guy situated up here so I don't destroy it when I take off here. Alright, let's get this trunk closed. Get to hear some more of this plastic rattle back here. It's 22-year-old GM plastic, what do you expect? Let's see, get this guy closed. There we go. Perfect. Alright, let's get this show on the road. So, something interesting about this vehicle that I like is while you're driving it, you can actually show how many miles per gallon you're getting in real time. And this is really funny on a vehicle that gets 11 miles to the gallon at best, because any little movement of the gas, it is just suffering. So I'll show you guys that in a second here. Let me get my seatbelt on and everything so I don't get pulled over here. There we go. There's another view of that shifter. Yeah, look at that. Nice and rattly, eh? Look at the party trick. You could pull her right up. Isn't that safe? Oh well. So here's the gauge cluster and everything. It's a pretty nice gauge cluster. You see how it's kind of going in and out on there? There we go, we got it synced up. That was just the camera. There's the mileage. There's all kinds of different programs you can do. You can do the trip off, trip on. You can do how many hours it ran. There's the log. You can set a timer, or you could have a blank. You can also have the range, average fuel economy, instant economy, which we will put that on when I'm driving because it's pretty hilarious. There's the engine oil life, and that's about it from there. And then on this other side, here's just the door locks, just some more assists and everything, and a bunch of crap we don't really care about, the languages, all that stuff. And let's see, we'll put her on the instant economy. Boom. As you guys see, I got some check engine lights on. I guess I had a tire sensor go out. I don't remember the exact name of it. There's like a sensor on my tires for the ABS and traction control. They did a scan on one of them, and I guess it's broken on the right side, so it'll be getting replaced hopefully tomorrow. I'm kind of an idiot. I don't really know the technicality. I just look at dumb purchases and decide to make them. And then this check engine light right here, which I should just put a piece of tape over, is for the canister purge valve that's already been replaced. So that might just be a rabbit hole right there, because it never had a check engine light until the gas tank was replaced. So who knows what's going on with this certified hoopty right here. Let's put her in the drive and get her going on the road. There's a weird stereo that when I first bought this thing, I was driving at night, I thought the cops were pulling me over because it was flashing blue and red. Here's the OnStar that doesn't work, so you're SOS no matter what. Here's the vents. They work really well, but then you won't be able to hear me if I jack them up, so I'm just gonna keep them off. Here's all the different modes. We got 4 high, 4 low, all your off-road modes that you could ever dream of. And here's all your towing assists. So not all of this stuff works since this vehicle was converted to coilovers, but at least the 4 highs and 4 lows all engage. Let's see if I'm lying. Here, we'll put it in park. Come on. It's gonna make me look like a liar. Trust me, this stuff worked. Okay. I guess it works when it wants to. Normally you'd hear the clicking sound under the truck. Well, that's nice. Okay. Well, let's just leave it. Screw it. Put it back right there. Got this interesting phone mount off of eBay that screwed in. It was like 50 bucks, which is kind of nuts. So slap the old cell phone in right there, and let's get headed out on the road. Straighten the old GoPro up. There we go. Get my finger out of the view. All right, let's hit the road in this big Minecraft looking behemoth. Hear that angry growl. Oh man, we're doing some serious off-roading here. that nice whine right there. See, this thing runs really smooth considering all the issues this thing has had. It's a pretty quiet vehicle, honestly, for being as old as it is. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'll just take her on a normal spin. There we go. Let's see, what way should we go? We'll go left. There we go. So the Hummer H2 is a pretty fun vehicle, even though it's slow. I noticed driving this thing, you get a lot of looks. You go to the gas stations, you get a lot of looks. You get a lot of people that ask you about it, say stuff about it. I guess these things were in enough movies where they kind of became a B-list celebrity, so that's pretty cool. So a lot of people like these vehicles. They think they're neat. They definitely have a reputation. So we'll get headed this way. Overall, I like this vehicle, even though I've barely driven it because of all the issues I listed. But it's a project. Buying something like this is definitely a commitment. I'll be posting more videos, more issues I run into, all kinds of stuff on this thing in the future. So there will definitely be more Hummer videos to come. I can also go over more detailed trivia or facts over this thing. But it is a fun vehicle. It sits decently high off the ground. There's people that do think these things are certified off-roaders, and honestly, you gotta beef them up a little bit if you plan on off-roading something like this. They're just not built for it from the factory. The sway bars are too thin. It's more of a cruiser from the factory than it is a broody off-roader, despite how it looks. So this thing's 22 years old. I mean, they take a lot of love, take a lot of care. It's definitely interesting. It's a different type of vehicle. I don't know why I decided to put myself through this masochism, but it's because these seats are straight out of the Cadillac Escalade, and you can tell, oh man, there's some nice seats, yeah. Even though they're worn, you just don't get that experience in newer cars. This thing feels like a marshmallow going down the road. It's got the aerodynamics of a brick. It looks like something I would have built in Minecraft 10 years ago. It's just, what's not to love? You know what I mean? So, it's definitely an acquired vehicle. You don't see many of these things on the road like you used to. So, they're pretty neat to see. But that's mainly my take on it. So we'll keep cruising around, and I'll let you hear the natural, relaxing rattles of this cabin. It could just rattle you to sleep. So let me shut up for a couple minutes so you can just enjoy this thing cruising down the road. 41. Isn't that just an interesting sight right there? Definitely interesting. So there we go for that. I know I moved it around a lot, but that's pretty much what I got in this video. So if you like this video, subscribe, comment, share it. If you didn't like this video, tell me why you didn't like it. I've only reviewed one other vehicle, and that was my other car, so plan on making a series out of this, so I'll take your comments positively. Any kind of feedback helps, really. So that's all for this video. Stay tuned for the next Hummer video. Peace out.